And welcome back to the CSS podcast. I'm your host, Dave Wolfers, and the gentleman right there in the middle of your screen is my son, Sam. And Charlie Crawley is not with us tonight. He is taking his son, Owen, back um, back to Indianapolis so he can hop on a plane and get back to the Air Force Academy. So hopefully, Crawley has us on in his truck watching us. He'll chime in. That'd be fun if he did as he's driving back from Indianapolis. But this is episode number 112, and it's titled "Should He Stay or Should He Go?" And you can probably guess where we're leaning and who we're talking about, but we'll let you all know that in our topic of the week. But as we always do here on the CSS podcast, we want to take this time to say thanks for listening and subscribing. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. That will help us out. We appreciate it. And also, if you ever want to watch us live, we are on YouTube at 7 p.m. on Sunday nights, coming to you live, so you can chime in with some live chat if you are up to that. So before we begin, Sam, how was your week?
I was pretty good up until about 3:30 today. So
Yeah, yeah, that's it seems like every Sunday
yeah,
anymore. So it's it was a very it was a good week for us. We had a few days off for our Thanksgiving break, and your sister came in town. She's still in town. She leaves early tomorrow morning, so it was nice having her home for 5, 6 days. She took care of her puppy. I got to sleep in a little bit because of that. So now, come Tuesday morning, I will be back getting up with the
mm,
dog, taking them out. So, but it is what it is. All right, we're going to get going here on the week that was, and um, probably wasn't really a great week for our Cincinnati teams. We're going to start with Xavier basketball. They beat South Carolina 75-66. In one of the tournaments there, they took a shellacking from Michigan, which I really didn't think Michigan was very good. But they lost 78-53. And then they barely won today. The game just finished up not too long ago. It was 71-68 to South Carolina State. I know Sean Miller, you know, wasn't real happy with his performance against Michigan, but against South Carolina, he said it was probably one of the best um, second halves of basketball that they played. I don't know about this team. I think when you are messing with the transfer portal, bringing in all those new guys every year, it is very hard to get what you want to do done until halfway through. I don't know, February.
yeah, yeah. I mean, especially when you're not bringing in the top end portal guys either. You know, you're not getting the big name guys necessarily. So I mean, yeah, that's a little tougher. You have to rely more on team and the system than individual skill, and with high roster turnover, that's just going to take longer to get done.
Right.
But I mean, the good thing is there's a lot of other teams that are in that same position, so it kind of it keeps you on pace at least with them. So and they outside of the Michigan game, they still are winning. So at the end of the day, that's what really matters.
Right. That is true. And the thing about winning, whether it's a quad one, quad two, quad three victories, still goes down like you said as victories, and they can just bank those when the Big East play starts. And it's coming up for them. They play TCU this week, and then after that they've got the Bearcats, and we'll go ahead and go right into the Bearcats. They defeated Alabama State 77-59. Good win for the Bearcats there. I know Wes wasn't happy at all
He's not happy. No.
with the way they played, which is good, right? Because I think, as a coach, um, you know, you could sense when kids are getting complacent, your team is getting complacent. I think what was happening, and I think Wes was sending a message saying, "Hey, yeah, we're not playing. You news people think, hey, we're 6-0, 7-0, ranked. It's going to be great." And Wes played in the ACC. He knows what it's like to go against top tier teams. As a player, and and he's expecting his Bearcats to just continue to you know work every day, get better every day, and not take any plays off. And I think that's what upset him the most.
Yeah, I mean, I probably agree with it. I didn't watch that game, but I saw his comments afterwards. I mean, he is on paper they should have beat Alabama State by more than 18 points. I don't know, the flow of the game, how it went. If it, there's sometimes where 18 points, it's like, yeah, they were up 30 with 3 minutes left, kind of put some other guys in. The team hits a couple threes to, cut the margin. I don't know if that's. It sounds like that's not what the game was. It sounds like 15 to 20 points the whole way through. So I mean, it kind of sounds like to me he wants his squad to dominate teams. He doesn't, like, yeah, it's good that we won, but there's definitely more things to work on. We didn't beat these guys 85-40 like we could have. So I mean, that's definitely good, especially going in to the Big 12 play, because I mean,
Yeah.
you play a team like Kansas, Iowa State, Baylor. You kind of go in and you get up by 10 points, take your foot off the gas. I mean, you're down real quick.
So the first half they were up 13 points. In the second half they only outplayed them by 5.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
yeah, that's what
Maybe
he
you
was.
didn't like how they responded after halftime. They kind of felt like they were up 13. We can just kind of coast.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you can't do that against Baylor. I just watched Baylor come back from 18 down with 10 minutes left against St. John's, and St. John's brings that defensive intensity, and they still were able to come back. So I mean, he's definitely got a point. These teams in the Big 12, 10 points is nothing. I mean, it's 3 threes in another bucket. Like, that's nothing.
Well, they had 10 turnovers, 16 assists. Let's see, rebounds.
Man, it's not awful.
No, 15 offensive rebounds, 37 defensive rebounds. Let's see.
But what did Alabama State have offensive rebound wise?
Let's see, 9.
9. I mean, I could see why you'd be a little upset with that.
Well, and Alabama State only committed 7 turnovers, had 12 assists, so 8 steals. Um, but it looks like in the second half they were 13 of 30 from the floor for 43%, 3 of 12 from 3-point range for 25%, and 2 of 6 of free throws. And I think that's
not free throw attempts.
Right. So
that's really when you're playing like that low of a level competition, you should be getting to the line.
Right.
That.
Yep. So it is what it is. Up next, I mean, they've got a good. Well, Villanova's not real good, but
it's a name. Yeah, they're not good, but it's a name at least.
But I think they're playing at Nova, if I'm not mistaken, unless that's in one of those. Let's see.
No, I think those little tournaments are done now.
Over, yeah. Until the holidays again, right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Now they're at Villanova, so that will be a tough place to play, I think, even though Villanova is not very good. That'll I think prepare them for playing the Big 12, just playing in a hostile environment there. So, they say they got Villanova and Howard, and then they play Xavier, the crosstown. So we'll talk a little bit more in depth about the crosstown, give our predictions and things like that next week. All right, let's go. Do you want to go UC football or do you want to do little Reds first?
Let's do Reds first, and then we'll do the
Two.
Cincinnati football teams.
Okay. All right. So the Reds winter meetings are coming up here this week. Um, news, rumors coming out. Teskar
Yeah, I mean,
Reds.
I, I'm not really anticipating them to actually make a move, but it would be nice to see them, at least in rumors, see their name pop up for, hey, Reds are interested in this guy, back channeling trade talks on this guy. That'd be nice to see it, but at least show that they're doing something. I think from a fan's perspective, worst case scenario is it's just quiet. You don't hear anything, they don't get anything done. I think that's worst case scenario.
Right. I think you're right. I don't know if they'll sign a big bat free agent.
I'm less optimistic about it.
Yeah,
I think a big player is gonna have to come via trade.
Right. And I was reading an article. I can't remember. It was in either Red Legs Nation or it wasn't the Inquirer. It was on Twitter, so it was one of the guys I follow. And I'm sorry if I can't remember who it was, but you know they were talking to an Oakland A's beat writer, and they were it was like this proposed trade. The Reds get Brett Rooker, who is who I said that they should have traded for at the deadline, and the Reds would have to give up Rhett Lauder and a couple of other like three other minor leaguers.
Yeah.
Would you do that trade?
I mean,
I think it was like Rhett Lauder, Reese Hines, um, Sal Stewart.
Yeah, probably another pitcher would be my guess.
It might have been another pitcher, but it wasn't. It wasn't Petty or wasn't any of the chases. It might have been
Burns. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if Lauder's what it takes, then I think your need for an outfield bat supersedes your need for the fifth starter right now.
Yeah.
And that's a move that would help the Reds this year, next year, the following year. I think Rooker still has 3 years of team control.
He does.
Long term, I mean, Rhett Lauder probably pencils in to be your number 2, number 3. But I think if you can get, Brent Rooker will be your number 1 outfield bat. I mean, right now he'd slot in. He'd be the best bat you have.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, I mean, I think you have to pull the trigger on that and trust that you've drafted other pitchers well enough that you have confidence that when one of these starters goes down, you can turn to them and you don't miss Brett Lauder at all. Plus they did trade for Singer. They're similar pitchers in terms of, sinker, two-seam type guys rather than strikeout guys. I think I would do that trade. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, when I first saw it, I was like, no, not Lauder. I would throw in Chase Burns. I mean, because
he hasn't
proven anything.
Yes.
Right? So
yes, absolutely.
Instead of Lauder, or even Petty. I know Petty has such high ups. I was like Lauder though, man. He pitched pretty well.
He pitched. I know what Lauder's floor is. He's a big league pitcher, league average at worst.
Right.
That's what his stuff is. I know that, but
I don't know about Petty or Burns because they haven't been up yet.
Right. But Petty and Burns, their ceiling is way higher than Lauder's.
Yes, it is.
So, I mean, yeah, I think you pulled.
I think you talked me into doing that trade. I would do that trade if we could get a big bopper. Because I mean, crying out loud, he crushed Reds pitching.
Shoot, he had like 6 home runs in the 3-game series. I mean, he'd have 50 bombs here.
Yeah. Well, I don't know because he's not off of our guys, so that could be a.
Well, yeah.
We always have to. Yes. He. People forget that
Yeah.
He could play in 80-some games at Great American Ballpark. Yeah, and that's what we said about Candelario too, because he crushed the
Yeah.
Reds every time. But
Yeah.
we got to put it in perspective. They were hitting off of Reds pitching, and that's why they were bombing us all the
Yeah.
time. So, all right. The other thing, I just want to ask you this. The Dodgers signed Tommy Erdman there to a
Oh, Edmund.
or
Yeah.
Edmund, yeah, to a 4 year, $75 million with, I don't know, 30 of it deferred or 40 of it deferred.
Well, Blake Snell too.
Yeah, Blake Snell too.
It's ridiculous.
And that was the question:
Yeah.
Are the Dodgers ruining baseball with the deferred money?
It's not their fault. If Manfred had a spine and would actually do something about it, then yeah. But I mean, this is where it's frustrating because we don't have an ownership group that's even smart enough to think that way. The Dodgers don't even have to be smart. They just have so much money. They don't even have to do the deferred stuff, and they're still doing it. I mean, you saw that their rotation in the World Series. Only one of those guys was a projected starter at the beginning of this past year. Was in their rotation, and I mean, they still had they're trotting out. That's what's frustrating. Like they're playing within the rules, but the rules need to change because it's a load of bull. That's really what it is. I mean, it's so disingenuous to just. I mean, Otani's contract alone was egregious, and now they're just doubling and tripling down on it.
And I'm surprised. Well, I'm not surprised that Manfred didn't step in, but I mean, baseball has stepped in the past when there were trades like A-Rod to Boston, right?
Yeah.
And they nixed it. They said, no, you can't do that. Then what happened? The New York Yankees swooped in, made the trade, boom, got them. There was a couple of other ones where they said, no, you can't make that trade. And it was like, why not? And back then it was because you would be a monopoly, right? You would you corner the market. So I don't know why baseball is not stepping in to say, no, you're not allowed to do this. Or if you're going to defer their paychecks, you can't defer more than 25%.
It should be a percentage, and it should still be against the luxury tax.
Right.
Like this isn't even counting against their luxury tax. It won't down the road because it's deferred. That needs to go away. It needs to count towards their luxury tax as well. Right. Because they're still signing the contracts. I mean, yeah, their payroll on paper is only going to be $250 million, but in reality, it should be closer to $600 million.
Well, it should be. It's close to $1 billion.
Well, in total,
yeah,
but I'm talking like year-to-year payroll.
Right.
On paper, their payroll for this past year wasn't even the highest. When in actuality, it is.
Should have been. Right.
But yeah, when you're able to defer $60 million for one player, that's egregious. That doesn't help the game of baseball at all.
No,
it doesn't. It's not good for the league. It's not good. It's not good for anybody, and it's frustrating because other teams can do this. It's they can, but if you're a free agent, why would they? Why would you? Like you see, like okay, the Dodgers did it with Otani. And now everybody wants to go there because they know this team is dead set on doing whatever they can to win.
Right.
But if you're just a free agent going to the Reds, it's like, okay, they did it for me, but are they actually going to do something else?
Right.
The answer to that's no, they're not. No. It doesn't benefit anybody else except for the Dodgers.
Right. And that's, and it's almost, back when I was growing up in the late 70s, early 80s, George Steinbrenner, hey, we're going to win. We're going to sign the best free agents possible. And they did. They got everybody to come to New York. And, they were the evil empire, right? The Dodgers now, I mean, I think it's becoming like the NBA where people want to go.
It's becoming like European soccer.
Where people want to go and play for their
it's not even the NBA because the NBA has restraints with the salary cap. So not it's European soccer. If you look at the top teams in European soccer, they just buy whoever they want.
Well, what I was saying, what I was getting at, it was like it was going to be the NBA where they want to go and play for, the super teams, right? They want to boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
and sort of like the LeBron James effect, going to Miami and going here, then
Yeah,
Golden
but even
State,
then,
and then
they still had a salary cap.
yeah, they do. I mean, yeah, baseball doesn't have a hard salary cap; they have the luxury tax.
Well, and if you're deferred money, you don't even have the
Right.
luxury tax cap. So
Right. So
that's the whole issue I have with it.
yeah, so hopefully the Reds can come out of the winter meetings with some news that they might be making a trade, or at least getting the groundworks, or maybe even talking to Boris and extending McLean
Yeah,
or Ellie. I mean, McLean hasn't played, right? I mean, he
I
shows
don't
up.
think you can extend McLean. I really don't.
Why not? I mean, I think Boris would be inclined to do it. If you do a Hunter Green deal, I mean, would you do that for McLean? 65
Yeah,
million.
I,
I
I
mean,
would because
not the
that's
$100 million like Ellie's going
yeah
to get, but
yeah
65.
a green type deal. I would do that. Yeah,
So,
I would
um,
because at the end of the day, that's only 6-7 million if he gets hurt again.
right.
Over the season.
And then take out a insurance policy or void it if he can't play. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Something like that. All right, enough baseball. Let's get into the Bearcats football. Disappointing loss for the Bearcats on senior night. Nip at night, 20-13 to TCU. I did not watch the game. You know, at halftime, I did see the score. It was 20 to, I think, 13 at half. Um, and, or no, 20 to, I think, 10 at half, or was it 7? I can't remember what it was, but, and then when I saw that the defense held TCU to just 3 points, because I think it was 17 to maybe
I think it was
17-3.
17-3.
17-3, yeah, 17-3, and they held TCU to only 3 points. I was thinking, it must have been the weather, and the weather did play a factor in the second half because the snow came and stuff like that. But too many turnovers again. Just could not execute down in the red zone when they needed to, and I don't know if the quarterback's been injured because he hasn't been airing it out at all.
Yeah, I remember them mentioning something about an injury. I want to say, I think it was before the Iowa State game. Whoever that was, maybe Colorado. It was like right at the start of the losing streak. So I think it was Colorado. They mentioned something with his finger. So I don't know if that's lingering. I'd imagine it has to be. I mean, he threw for more yards in like the first 4 games than he did the last 8.
Right.
So I mean, it's got to be.
It's got to be something, right? So,
Yeah.
What was set, and this is, I guess, this is going to be the norm for college football. UC had only 4 true seniors, and by true seniors, I mean guys that came in as a freshman.
Yeah, no transfer.
4, only 4.
That's not. I'm not surprised by that because of the coaching turnover.
I'm not either, but it's. I mean, I think that's going to be. I mean, you're not going to have.
I think 4 is on the extreme low end. I mean, you're not going to have full classes. You're not going to have 27 guys.
No.
But I think 4 is low. I think 10 to 12, I think, is going to be kind of more of the number. But, I mean, more concerning for me is just the way that they just petered out at the end of the year. Yeah. I mean, go from 5-2 to 5-7, miss a bowl game.
Well, they're not out of the bowl yet. They're not out of the bowl picture yet.
Well, so. No, they are. I think to me, it's more of a joke, more of an embarrassment to accept the bowl bid after this than to actually finish 5-7. I think it'd be pathetic and just loser talk, Loserville all the way around if the Birmingham Bowl calls him up and says, "Hey, you want to come on down?" And Scott Satterfield says yes, which he will because he's a loser.
Wow.
But I mean, I've been getting into the interwebs. App State is not happy with their coach. They would gladly take him back in a heartbeat. And Wisconsin's not too happy with Fickle right now either.
No.
So all I'm saying is some moves can be had out here that would appease 3 different fan bases. Whether or not the ADs are going to make it happen, probably not. At least not on UC's end, because if they were going to fire him, they'd have fired him today. That's the way you do it. But
so I mean, we'll talk more about it in our next segment, as far as of what we think should or will happen here. But the question is, okay, 5-7. There is an outside chance, like I said before, of bowls. They're sitting like at 3 or 4. The way it goes is, there's more bowl games than teams right now that are 6-6 and above. So what will have to happen is they go by the academic progress rates, so like graduation rates and things like that. And UC is like 3rd or 4th, so they could get into one of those lesser bowls, obviously. But the question is, will they take it? Satterfield said yes, because he was saying that we were close. We were close on a lot of things, and man, yeah, we would love to keep playing, just keep working. And has a point.
He's not going to have enough players to play in a bowl game.
Well, and that's the thing, is like, how many of these guys are going to be transferring out? Because the window opens here next week. I think on the 9th.
Yeah, I think officially, but I think guys.
Yeah, they can declare.
They can do it. Yeah.
And then how many are going to opt for the NFL and not play in the bowl game?
Maybe Corleone.
And Kiner?
Well, not playing a bowl game, but Kiner's out of eligibility anyways. Right. I meant leave early.
No, leave early. Yeah. So, I just don't know. Then how many is he going to bring in to replace the guys?
Well, I mean, based on his freshman recruiting class, he's going to have to bring in like 20, 30 guys just to have a team. And that's before everybody even leaves, because his recruiting class is MAC levels in terms of rankings. It's bad.
Yeah, it's
bad.
It's bad. And I think, there are a few MAC schools that are ahead of UC.
Yeah.
And it's embarrassing that, Big 12 schools.
That alone should be a fireable offense with the amount of money that UC's been putting into the program recently, the facilities and everything that they're upgrading.
Well, that's why Dan Mullins got fired one of the reasons why he got fired at Florida. He was winning games there. I mean, he could never get over the hump, but he didn't like to recruit. He wasn't getting the 5-star recruits.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, we want to compete for championships. Not backyard championships. We want championships. And, and can you see, I mean, with Fickle and the 4, but
I mean, they made the playoff.
Yeah,
the answer is yes.
Yes, but can they? Can they do that? I mean, now in this 12 playoff format, can you?
Absolutely. All it takes is 10-2. They're in our conference.
Does it though? I mean, how many from the Big 12 is getting in?
Whoever gets in is going to be 10-2.
Yes, but
10-2 gets you to the Big 12 championship game, and at that point,
can they win the Big 12 championship? I don't know.
Absolutely. There's not a dominant program in the Big 12. There's no reason any of the 18 or 16, however many teams are actually in the Big 12, can't look at next season and be like, we can compete. There's not a dominant program. There's not. And there's no reason you can't have a turnaround with the right coaching staff and the right, I mean, honestly, just the right quarterback is really all you need. There's no reason to think you can't compete next year.
Yeah. No. And I don't know what the schedule is. I don't know who they have home and away. Which Big 12 teams.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked.
We know Miami's not on their schedule. So
yeah, I'm sure there's FCS team on there. You usually open up with one of those week 1.
Yep.
And then they'll probably, I think Nebraska's on their schedule. I think they're playing at either Indy or Arrowhead against Nebraska.
They are playing at Arrowhead because they got
Yeah,
moved from Indy to
to
Arrowhead.
Arrowhead.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is right. So just piggyback off of our last little thing, what does UC need to do um, to win in the Big 12?
They've, I mean, right now their recruiting class, I think, is 65th. Now that's just freshmen. If after the portal you can get that into top 30, I think that's okay. I think that's good enough. You've got some pieces if they return. That and that's a big if. But I mean, I haven't seen any big announcements from key guys that you're expecting for next year saying they're leaving. Pryor's going to be your running back one. Haven't seen anything on him. Sorsby, I'd imagine, is still going to be their quarterback. And then I guess Corleone's the big question mark on defense. I'd anticipate that he's going to leave and go pro. I don't see him returning for another year, even though he could. Doesn't make sense on his end, especially with his blood clot scare. I mean, he's got to go pro. I think he does. But yeah, I mean, they've got to get a top 30 class freshman portal coming in. And I mean, reality, you need somebody other than Satterfield being the head coach. He's just not cut out for it. I mean, he's had 2 different gigs now at Power 5/Power 4 schools, and he's like 7 or 8 games under 500. That's a large enough sample size. That's 6 or 7 years worth of sample size. He's a Sun Belt coach, and that's fine. The Sun Belt needs coaches too. Okay, there's plenty of jobs out there. That's just that's what he is. I mean, I've seen. I never thought I'd see the day where I saw people say Tuberville was a better hire than anybody UC brings in, and there's fans saying right now they would take the Tuberville era over the Satterfield era, because at least Tuberville, his first couple years they were halfway decent. It fell off years 3 and 4 for him, but the first 2 years he didn't come in and suck right away. He built that over time because he wasn't actually recruiting anybody. He just wanted to collect a paycheck.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if Satterfield's the guy, which I mean, it probably is, because I was reading some things like his buyout is like they're not going to buy him out. So, like, nobody's going to swoop in and save the day and poach him. So,
no.
He's not resigning.
Nope.
So I think he's the coach next year. He's a lame duck coach. Our recruiting class next year is going to be even worse than the incoming class, because everybody knows it. I mean, they're just not in a good situation, unfortunately. It's without a doubt the worst football situation in the city right now.
Yeah, they did improve 2 games, and they won two more games, but going 5-2 to start. I mean, through the through the course of after week 7, we kept saying, where will they end up? What will they be? Will it be 7-5? Will they make a bowl? And as the losses kept mounting, we all said, we all agreed 6-6 would have been a good year for them. And they were 1 game off of that. But I think if you look back at 5-2 and they finish at 5-7, that you can't be happy about. I mean, you can't be happy about the 5 victories even. I mean, you can't, because it's the way you finish. It's that's.
Well, yeah, you have to look at the whole season. I mean, that 5-7 is not. It's not good. That's not a good enough record at all. And yeah, you can say, 2-game improvement from last year, but I mean, last year they ended on like an 8-game losing streak, and this year a 5-game losing streak.
Right.
Like that doesn't inspire me that these guys are getting any better.
Well,
they don't get better as the season goes on.
Yeah, it's like, are they being developed? Are they? What's happening? Why are they?
Yeah.
And
yeah, and I mean, last year they could hang their hat on, like, they played a tougher Big 12 schedule.
Right.
I mean, Colorado was the best team they played all year in the Big. Maybe Iowa State, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Either one of those two, but I mean, neither of those two teams were as good as Oklahoma last year. Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, anyways. But
right.
And to top it all off, you lost to Miami twice. I mean, that's insane to me.
They didn't lose this year to Miami.
Oh, I thought they lost. For some reason, I was thinking, last year.
They've got the victory bell.
So yeah, that's right.
They got the bell. So that's a positive, I guess, if you look at it that way. All right, so moving on from one disappointing football team to the other, and once again, the Bengals blow lead. I mean, it wasn't a big lead, but they blew one because the defense can't stop Russell Wilson, who had a career day against our defense, 410 yards passing. And he came away with a victory, 44-38. So, my question is, apparently bringing the ping pong tables back did absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So, thoughts on the game?
I mean that at this point, I feel sorry for Lou Anarumo. I really do. He can't do anything. I mean, he's tried everything now. I mean, I thought it was him at the start of the year because of what we had seen with the guys.
Right.
But clearly, it's the personnel. Yeah. That can't be any more clear that it's the personnel. Every single player on that defense, except for Trey Hendrickson, is replaceable, in my opinion. Should be on the chopping block, and you should be having serious conversations about whether or not you're moving on from them and bringing somebody else in. They're all that bad. All of them. Every single one of them is awful. I saw Luke today actually blitz. I mean, he was blitzing left and right, trying to do something.
Right,
and that wasn't getting it done.
They couldn't get there because they were too slow and old. I mean, they just
they couldn't get there. Newman had.
Oh my gosh!
I thought Cam Taylor-Britt had some awful games.
Whew.
This Newman game was just absolutely just awful. Yeah. He looked like he never played cornerback in his entire life at any level. He was out of position left and right, couldn't make a tackle. Just absolutely awful.
Well, yeah.
I mean, just the last play of the game alone, everybody in the city of Cincinnati and everybody in the city of Pittsburgh knew as soon as Justin Fields came on, he was running the football.
Right.
Everybody except for Josh Newman knew that.
Well, it wasn't just everybody. Josh. There was three guys that went down, and one.
He's the last on the line.
He is the last on the line. He should have stayed there. That one I get, but there was either linebacker or the end.
There was another. I think it was Davis Gay. There was
crashed hard as well, and then they picks up 7 yards. And everybody in the stadium knew. I mean, the Charles Davis, the announcer.
said,
he's going to run the ball. The Bengals.
He said I would send all 11 guys at Justin Fields and ignore everything else.
Yeah. What did the Bengals do? No. Let's go for that fake and just crash the line because we want to be a hero.
Justin Fields didn't come in that game to hand it off. Russell Wilson could have handed it off.
Right, exactly.
He came in there to run. And these dum-dums didn't. The only 11 guys that didn't realize it were out there on defense. It's just atrocious. And they'd have given up 50 points if Cam Taylor-Britt would have been flagged like he should have been. Because that was pass interference on the pick six.
Right. Oh, yeah, it was. Yeah.
Big time. Yeah. They'd have given up 50 points today if they didn't get, a little lucky there.
Yeah, got a little break. But yeah, I was just watching it, and I was like, okay, hey, the first series, Pittsburgh, we didn't do anything, but then, we got the offense rolling. I was like, okay, here we go. Okay, all right, here we go. It's just then the defense comes out, and Russell Wilson, how many times did he throw just a little 2 yard
Oh,
pass,
yeah.
just dumped it over the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
Where were our backers at? Okay, they were dropping in coverage, but they were going back 15 yards like
Yeah.
on a sprint. And it's like, what are you doing? Okay, 1, 2, 3 times. You're going to allow that to happen? And it wasn't like it was on first down plays. It was third down plays. And
Yeah.
it's like somebody pick up who's responsible for the tight end or, the first play was Najee Harris. Just went on the line, turned
And they
around.
did that like 3 straight times.
Yeah,
He just
something
said,
like
okay,
that.
here you go.
Yeah.
10 yards. Just right like that. And I get, like, they can't play man. Like, they just can't. Especially if Hilton's out there. Hilton can't cover anybody.
They can't play zone because they don't communicate well enough.
Right. Yeah, they can't do anything.
And we get no pass rush. So if Trey's not doing it and people are doubling him and he can't do it. So
yeah.
So Lou needs to be moving him around the line of scrimmage, sort of like what JJ or TJ Watt was doing. He went from the right
left
side
to right
the left side to the middle.
Yep.
Right? I mean, and Burrow checks into a great call and has what's his name? Samples come in to be the H-back to pick up the blitz, pick up TJ. And what does he do? TJ swims around him, and he grabs him. The play has to come back. It's just one thing after another with this team, and it's frustrating. The city of Cincinnati, the fans are frustrated as all get out because we are wasting historic seasons by Burrow and Chase. I mean, just
and to top it off, it seems like everybody that we let walk is playing well, playing great even. I mean, I'm still fine with them letting Mixon walk, but I mean, Mixon looks like a Pro Bowl type running back, but that is what it is. He wasn't really a scheme fit. Whatever, that's fine. Jesse Bates is balling.
Yeah.
DJ Reader is having the best season he's ever had. And you let him go because, third contract, but you brought in Rankins, who's the same age as him.
Right, exactly.
So it's
different because they wanted a pass rush defensive tackle.
Oh, and guess what? DJ Reader has more sacks than Rankins.
Right. Well, because
and
Rankins
always
can't
has.
stay on the field.
Always
has.
has.
On the field.
Yeah.
So,
he had one good game against us, last year or 2 years ago or whatever. And, it's how they operate. Oh, they had a good game against us, and we're the best team ever, so he must be a really good player. Not that Alex Kappa and Cordell Bolson couldn't block me. So, I mean, it's I would say the front office, but we don't have a front office. Wow. So, I mean, there's only so much these coaches can do. And, I mean, we've got on Zach Taylor, but he has called offensively. Yeah. He has called great games.
He has in this last
a couple, situational things. I'd rather see him go for it or whatnot than kick a field. But in terms of plays called this year, I mean, he's been really good this year. And there's actually numbers that back that up.
Yeah.
He's by far and away been the best play caller this year in terms of when you're adjusting for everything and whatnot. Like people around the league know how good Zach Taylor's been this year, and so credit to him. But when your defense is that bad,
and Chase,
when you got those, that definitely helps. But
helps a lot.
I mean, he's moving Chase around more than he has in the past, and he's focusing on actually getting him the ball.
Right.
There are times where it's like Jamar Chase needs to get the ball, we're getting him the ball, and not just let it happen.
Yeah.
But I mean, everything lies on the defense. The defense is god awful, and I mean Russell Wilson. I mean, let him up. Like you said, career night. The Steelers haven't scored this many points since 2016. I think they said on the broadcast.
It's
four games. 4 games, they have scored 33 or more points and lost in 1 year.
Yeah. Well, if Burrow would have never thrown this interception, he threw that interception, he would have had...
Yeah, he'd have had another game, yeah.
Another game of 300 yards, 3 touchdowns, and lost.
Yeah.
But, holy cow. I mean...
I mean, you see the margins that he's playing with.
Right.
You turn the ball over, you lose automatically.
Yeah.
You're done. And I mean, that clearly affects him a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it does.
Oh yeah, you can tell he's not happy. I mean, because
No.
what else can they do? Because he's putting up those numbers with the horrendous offensive line that we have.
Yeah.
I mean, our line is, besides our tackles, our
It
interior
too.
line.
I mean, and Brown didn't have a good game today,
No, he
but
didn't.
on the whole, he's been a good signing, and I think Mims is going to be really good. But our interior line is awful.
Yeah, they got to get rid of him. I mean, they got to get
Yeah.
three new
Yeah.
people. I mean, yeah, but they're just getting to Burrow, and Burrow's doing magic, and you know,
Yeah, but what good is it when you're losing?
right?
You know,
Exactly.
it's
Exactly.
taking unnecessary hits, and
Yep. So it is what it is.
Coming off a bye,
Yeah.
they had 11 penalties for over 100 yards today.
Mm.
I don't know how that happens. The Bengals are one of the least penalized teams, but coming off of a bye.
It's Steeler week, and this,
And to me, it's not being ready to play.
Well,
coming off a bye, not being ready to play is unacceptable.
And yeah.
And I mean, that's the Zach Taylor issue that we still go back to, is that there's times where it just seems like they're not ready to go.
Yeah. Well, the one, I mean, to be fair, I mean, the one that Kappa got called.
Yeah,
wasn't.
It wasn't. Yeah.
Yeah, but
yeah, it was awful.
I mean, the NFL officiating has been, it has been horrible. I mean, it has been. I mean, I don't even want to get into the Chiefs game on Friday night. That was freaking. I mean, okay, let's change the rules as we go, and it says this, but was it this?
And we'll make it this so that we have the outcome we want. Yeah, right. Exactly.
It's just crazy.
And
how that is.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, we saw it the Steelers' first drive. I mean, we got the benefit of it,
right?
And we still couldn't capitalize on it.
Well, we scored the touchdown on it. I mean, but
sure, but I mean, long term, it's like, we got the benefit of it. Boswell missed the field goal against us. Okay, we blocked a kick. I've never seen the Bengals block a kick in my life. I don't know if it's ever happened.
Yeah, it has.
Block a kick.
Dunlap used to do it all the time.
Sure. Okay. I don't remember, but it's not a once a year or every other year thing that we're doing. Like, it's very rare that we block anything. So to have those breaks go our way. Yeah. Well, yeah.
All right. Let's move on here. We're gonna let's go with our. They got the Cowboys who are 5-7. I did not watch that game against the Giants on Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, you couldn't have paid me to watch that game.
I wasn't about to. I mean, those were. I mean, yeah. But it's a Monday night game. It's fitting because the Simpsons, they've got an alternate broadcast.
Yeah.
And comical cartoon, and that's the way both of these teams are playing. So predictions. What do you got?
I don't even want to do a prediction. I mean, it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I'll give you that. I mean, Cooper Rush is going to look. Cooper Rush might get a starting job next year based off of this game. Or maybe not, because he didn't the last time. But
right, he didn't.
But I mean, I genuinely, I don't think they win because they can't stop anybody.
No, they can't.
It doesn't matter. The only way that they win is if Zach Taylor goes no kicks, like no extra points. You go for 2 every time, and you just don't punt. I mean, and at this point, like, why not? Why wouldn't you?
Right. I mean,
give it a shot. There used to be that. I think he was a high schooler, like a D3 coach, who never punted, always went for 2, and always did onside kicks.
Right.
So I mean, why not? If you're going to have Burrow out there playing, you're clearly not playing for a draft pick. So if you win, cool. So I mean, why not do something drastic? But I'm going to go Cowboys. I'm going to go Cowboys 38, Bengals 35.
I think it's higher.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Cowboys. It might be. Crawley texted earlier, and he's like, Bengals are gonna have to score 50 points to win this game against the Steelers, and I was like, shoot, Crawley, they have to score 50 points every game if they want a chance to win the game. So
Yeah.
I am going to say it's going to be 44-42 boys. So yeah, I don't think.
But yeah, I mean, I think
Micah
Zach Taylor's
Parsons
done.
coming back. Who knows? I don't know if he's
Yeah.
out, but if he's back, it could be really bad, really ugly. And if we get no pass rush at all on Cooper Rush, he's going to light us up like
No,
he
yeah,
did
because
2 years ago.
we can't cover anybody.
Right.
So I mean, all you have to do is give the guy 2 seconds to throw. He's going to find somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's.
Yep. All right, we're going to move on real quick. We got trivia. Crawley had last week's answer. I got this week's question. And since Crawley's not here, I think we got it right anyhow. But this is a list question here. So it says most receiving yards. So there are 10 players. Can you name how many of the top 10 can you name of wide receivers that had the most receiving yards in the first 5 seasons? All-time leaders. Most receiving yards in the first 5 seasons.
I'll go Justin Jefferson.
He's third.
Third. Randy Moss.
Randy Moss is second.
Second. Jerry Rice.
Fourth.
Fourth. T.O.
No,
No T.O.
no, because he didn't. I mean, his first couple of years,
Yeah, I guess that's
Rice.
he was behind Rice still. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. About like Julio Jones.
Yep, he's fifth on the list. So you got 2, 3, 4, and 5 so far.
2, 3, 4, 5. About somebody like about AJ Green.
AJ Green is sixth.
Yeah. First 5 years. Assuming they're all probably somewhat more recent.
One's a little older. Yeah. So.
Okay.
I mean, and by older, I mean late 90s, early 2000.
Late 90s, early. Marvin Harrison?
Mm-mm.
No.
Nope.
I haven't gotten, so I need what? 1, 7, 8, 9, 10?
Yep.
Are there any tight ends?
No
They
tight
are
ends. This is just, yep.
Just receivers.
Yeah, these are all receivers, so no tight ends.
Let's see. We'd say Jamar, but he hasn't played 5 years.
He hasn't played 5 years.
Yeah,
correct.
I don't think that he'd have enough. I think he'll make the list, but I don't think he. Late 90s, early 2000s. What about somebody like AJ Brown?
AJ Brown's number 10 on the list.
Number 10. Okay. About DK Metcalf.
Nope.
Yeah, he's probably less than AJ Brown. Odell Beckham Jr.?
Nope.
No? Really? Tyreek Hill?
Nope.
No. DeAndre Hopkins?
Nope.
No.
I'll give you another 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Then we'll save it.
Francisco. Andre Johnson?
Nope.
No.
Nope. One more guess.
Mike Evans?
Mike Evans is number 7.
Yeah, number 7.
So yeah, so you're missing 1, 8, and 9. So think on that, and we'll come back next week and give you the answers for that. So, after that, let's go ahead and go into our topic of the week. And our topic of the week is going to be we'll talk a little about the conference championship games, and then also we're going to talk about what do we think are going to happen in those games, and we got a little game to play that's called "Should He Stay or Should He Go?" So we will do that here. So let's talk about the conference championship games. The Big Ten. Let's start with the Big Ten first, since that's backyard here. We have Oregon and Penn State. So Oregon's number 1, Penn State's number 4 right now. Probably be moving up. So what do you think? Who do you think is going to win that?
Normally, I would say Penn State has no chance because they never win any games that mean anything. But this game doesn't actually mean anything. Both of these teams are going to be in the playoffs. So actually, I'd like Penn State here. Just, stupid logic, stupid reasoning, I know, but that's really the only reason why I like Penn State is because it's quote-unquote a big game, but it's not actually a big game because it doesn't mean anything. Penn State's in the playoff, Oregon's in the playoff. I think that actually helps Penn State because they're the one team. They never beat anybody they're not supposed to beat, but they also never lose to anybody they're not supposed to lose to.
That is true.
And I think that we might get a flip here. I think they might actually beat a team they're not supposed to beat only for the fact because it doesn't actually matter.
Well, yeah, I don't know if big game James Franklin can do it, but we'll see.
Well, it's not a big game. It's not a big game.
Well, it's for the Big Ten championship. So.
Yeah, but there's bigger things at play here than a Big Ten championship.
Well, the bye.
Would they get the bye if they win the Big Ten?
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah. I guess they would.
Heck yeah, they would.
Yeah. I don't know. If I'm Penn State, I think I'd rather play at Happy Valley than at a neutral site. But yeah, I guess they would get the bye. So, but I pick Penn State. I'll roll with Penn State.
All right. I think Oregon. I think Oregon's just been too good all year. I think they'll roll. We'll see. All right, the Big 12. I think it's Iowa State and Arizona State. Because there was a 3-way tie or 4-way tie for
4-way tie. Yeah, it was some
4-way tie for the Big 12.
Somehow the UC TCU game had an effect on who played in the Big 12 game.
It was it was strength of schedule. So basically, what the Big 12 looked, because they all didn't play each other,
right?
So then they had to look at common opponents, and Arizona State went 3-1 against common opponents, so they got in. They were the highest ones, and everybody else were 2-2 or something like that. And then they went to strength of schedule, and I believe Iowa State had the higher strength of schedule besides instead of BYU and Colorado. That's why Colorado.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was just like
stupid tiebreaker.
Yeah,
two teams in conferences, and this is what happens.
Yeah.
But
All right. Who do you got in that one?
I'm going to go with Arizona State because I think they have the best player. I think Cam Scatterboo is the best player in the Big 12, second best player in the Big 12, best player in this game. So I'm going with Arizona State.
Yeah. I that's I think so. I think that'll work there too. Let's move over to the SEC, where you have Texas coming off an impressive victory um, against their nemesis, longtime nemesis, Texas A&M, and then Georgia, who you know,
They have some weird Chiefs voodoo going on with them too, where somehow they're winning games they're not supposed to.
well,
Because maybe the refs are helping them out, maybe not. I don't know.
I don't know, but the 8 overtimes against Georgia Tech,
Yeah,
and they're up to 5 in the AP poll. They moved up because Ohio State lost and dropped. Ohio State dropped. But I'm sorry, you're playing a non-conference game for your rivalry, which is fine. So you can't use that SEC bias that it's a tough schedule and blah blah blah. I mean, Georgia Tech did win 7 games this year, so they're not chump change. But if you are talking about Georgia like the way these pundits are talking about Georgia, thinking that they should be winning a national championship,
no.
then there's no way that they should go 8 overtimes against Georgia Tech. And they got lucky in the fourth quarter to get to overtime.
Real lucky. I mean, I watched that game all the way through. I saw it was on, saw it was close, and I wanted to see the upset. And yeah, in that fourth quarter, there were the refs were definitely looking the other way, and they were doing whatever they could to make sure Georgia Tech did not win that game. We'll just put it that way.
They got the phone call at halftime and said, "Hey boys,
Yeah,
hey
yeah, no,
boys, we gotta we if Georgia we're only going to get one
yeah,
team in the playoff if
yeah.
you know
Because yeah, they definitely got more help than I've seen any team on the collegiate level get maybe ever in that fourth quarter. I mean, they're whatever. We're not
right
dissecting that game.
yeah
All I know is Carson Beck is a terrible quarterback. So I mean, Georgia's in the playoff, but they're not. They're not. I'm not worried about Georgia. They're not gonna against the
well
team. I mean, they didn't do anything against Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech lost, I think, in the second half. Like 5 of their secondary players got injured and
wow
missed the rest of the game. 4 or 5. So I mean, that helps you come back when you're
yeah
literally playing against walk-ons. But I mean, Carson Beck's. I mean, he's terrible. But they did beat Texas earlier this year, and it wasn't even close. I do think Texas is better now than they were then. It's a neutral site, although it was in
it
Texas
was
last
at
time. I guess
Texas
it wasn't.
yeah
Yeah. So I, I don't like the way Georgia's been playing, and I like the way Texas has been. So I'm going to go with Texas on
I
that one.
think Texas is going to get them and I think they're going to put a hurt on them. I think they're going to beat them by more than 10 points is what I'm going for. All right, and the last Power Four championship game is the ACC. So I think it's SMU. Is it SMU?
SMU, I don't know
And
who's
Clemson.
playing that.
Clemson.
Clemson, yeah,
Clemson
yeah,
snuck in. They lost, but
because Miami lost.
Miami lost to
Yeah,
Syracuse, Clemson
yeah.
moves in. You got to go with the
Clemson's
ponies,
similar to
man.
Georgia to me. I don't think they're that good.
No, you got to
Um,
go with the ponies. I mean, because
I think you
SMU
do.
is
I don't know anything about SMU. I
11 and
haven't watched
one.
any
I think.
games.
I mean, they're yeah
I mean, yeah, we'll take the Pony Express just
yep
because I mean, Clemson's. I mean,
yeah.
South Carolina was hot. I'll give them that, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't think you can lose that game if you're Clemson.
Nope, you can't.
Yeah, I'll go with the ponies.
All right, there we go. All right, so we'll come back next week, like I said, and we'll talk about the championship games, and then we'll talk about the playoffs because they will release the playoffs, and then we'll see. We'll go the bracket route, sort of like what we do in the NCAA to a basketball tournament, and we'll crown a champion on the.
I mean, it kind of seems like the field's mostly set, kind of regardless. I mean, I guess there's a couple.
There's a couple, yeah.
What, three spots up for grabs?
Like that. But then you gotta,
because the winner of the Big 12 is getting in, but
right.
The loser's probably not, even as an at-large. Same with the ACC. Right. Winner gets in, loser probably doesn't.
No.
So the question goes: is Miami completely out of it, or are they still in it a little bit?
Well, you know what's going to happen, right? Bama's going to sneak in, and people are going to be up in arms.
They are, but you look at the other SEC teams that could get in, Ole Miss and South Carolina. Bama beat both of them.
Right.
So at the end of the day, yeah, you can. I've seen people, say South Carolina should get in. Well, South Carolina lost to Ole Miss and Alabama.
Right.
At some point, you got to get to the point where
head-to-head matters.
Head-to-head actually matters.
Right.
Otherwise, what the heck's the point? Why are we not just simulating this on a video game?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
head-to-head still has to matter.
My thing, if Texas routes Georgia would have 3 losses.
Yeah.
Are they in?
It's already been rumored that the championship game is not supposed to hurt you.
Right.
So if they're in now, they should, in theory, still be in. But yeah, to me, I've said this from the beginning: 12 is too many.
Yeah.
A team with 3 losses should not be able to compete for a national championship.
No.
Just period. But you're going to have 2 or 3 of them probably in, just because you got to have 12. If you have a 12-team playoff, you got to have 12 teams.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, but you can't put Army's 10-2, but you just can't put them in over Alabama. You just can't.
No.
Can't put them in over South Carolina or Ole Miss. So 1 or 2 3-loss teams are getting into this thing, and
unfortunately, yeah.
And it's stupid.
All right, so our last thing we're going to do, I know we're running a little long-winded here, but that's what happens when the Bengals and the Bearcats and things like that irritate us a little bit. We like to ramble on, but so should he stay or should he go? So I'm gonna throw out some coaches, and you just tell me, should he stay at the school or should he go? The first one here, our boy Scott Satterfield.
Go on back to that.
Go bye. Go on. Well, I will tell you this: I had one guy on the list, and he's already bye, and that was Ryan Walters.
Purdue's coach. Yep.
and I will tell you this: there's a colleague of mine who went to Purdue. He was on Katie's. He was like a manager and stuff for Katie. So he's he knows Painter real well and stuff like that. And he was like, well, I don't know if they'll get rid of him. He goes, you think they have to, don't they? And I'm like, yeah, you would think.
They went
one of the recruits leaving, and and he's a defensive guy, and he gave up 2 60-point burgers, one to your rival.
Yeah,
you score 0 or 7 points, and then 3.
Well, if you go 6-6 and lose to IU like that, you should be getting fired.
Yeah. So he's fired. So he's off the list. So number 2, Ryan Day.
That's a tough one, because he beats everybody, but that's the one that matters. You look at Michigan, god awful season, but they beat Ohio State and they're happy. They're happy. This season is not a complete failure.
No.
I don't think Ohio State gets rid of him, but I think he looks to leave because he doesn't want to deal with it anymore. So I think he's gone regardless.
I think he's gone. I do. He's making a lot of money at Ohio State. He might go to Purdue.
Yeah, but not going to Purdue. But there's going to be some other big time jobs that open up. That's just how this all works.
Right. Exactly.
And so somebody will pony up money for him. And
they were. I was listening.
Or he'll go pro ranks.
Well, yeah. I was
And
looking
the
at
Bears'
another.
job is still open.
Yep. I was looking at another and another program or another listening to another podcast, and they were saying, you know, would Kentucky fire Mark Stoops
They should.
because probably that's going to be the only SEC job open because last year, they had quite a few that opened. You're not going to get rid of a coach after 1 year unless you're Auburn. Um, but they're like going, well, if they get rid of Stoops,
Yeah.
then they could get their pick of the litter, right? Of the best of the best. Now Purdue jumped the gun, so Purdue, but is it an attractive
I
hire?
mean, it's still
It's a
the
Big
Big
Ten
Ten,
school, right?
but I mean, Purdue's a basketball school first.
Well, but they're pumped up. I mean, they pumped a lot of money into
Have
the
they?
football program. They have pumped a lot. I mean, when you know,
I guess when
um,
Braun was there, he probably demanded it.
yeah, and even when Tiller was there, he started getting it up, and then Drew
Yeah.
Brees donated some money,
Yeah.
those type of things. So yeah, all right, we'll keep going here. So I say Day is gone. I mean, especially
Yeah.
if he doesn't win the Natty, he's
Oh,
gone.
yeah.
He's
Yeah.
gone. The next one, Lincoln Riley.
He should be gone, but I think he stays. I think his buyout's probably too high.
Yeah, his buyout is pretty high, but I mean,
I
he
think he
hasn't
stays.
he
I think
hasn't
he's
done squat
stays.
at
Nope.
USC. I mean,
Nope.
the guy previous Clay, whatever his name was,
Yeah, Clay. Yeah, whatever.
has a
Yeah.
better record than,
Yeah.
than and everybody was pissed off at Clay,
Yeah.
but yeah. All right, the next one, Zach Taylor.
He's staying. We already know. And honestly, I don't think he should go.
I
I,
don't either.
I
I mean,
think
after
they made elsewhere,
yeah,
but exact Taylor stays.
and then the next one, Lou Amarumo.
I think he should go, but I think he stays. I think it's same. I think he stays.
I think I mean, like you said earlier, he's trying. He has nobody.
Yeah.
He has no talent. Nothing.
He's got
I mean,
nothing.
he's got
Yeah.
nothing. So I mean, is a new person coming in going to be able to make chicken salad out of chicken shit? No. I mean, so it's
Only if they can get, the Brown family to hire more scouts.
right.
And
Well,
that's not happening.
it's
So
not. All right. So then this brings me to the next one, Frank, our boy Pollard.
yeah, he's got to go.
He's got to
He's
go.
gone.
He's
I think
gotta
he's
go.
gone.
Yes. I don't
Yeah.
think the guys have improved at all.
No, they haven't. They haven't.
So,
yeah. He's gone.
And then the next one, and our last one, Dick Tobin.
We already know he's not going anywhere. But yes, he should go.
Well, he either needs to hire more people, like you said, to work under him, scouting and stuff, or he needs to go.
Yeah.
I mean, because he hasn't drafted. He hit.
I mean, it's awful.
He's hit 2 really good drafts early on, but he lucked into a couple of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
really, they're not very good drafts. You got a couple good players in the first round and T. Higgins in the second.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I think
Logan Wilson was there. I think it was.
Yeah, but
Logan's been decent.
He's been decent.
Great, but he's been, we missed him today. We missed him today.
We did.
So yeah. All right. So that's all we have. Unless you want to add somebody else in there, should you say or should he go?
I don't really. I didn't prepare any, I guess.
Yeah. The only other one would be Dabo Sweeney, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Dabo.
Because he refuses to go through the portal.
Yeah, he's not doing any of that portal stuff.
So, and they haven't been competitive anymore, really.
Well, they're playing for the ACC championship, so.
Yes, but we're talking that SMU is going to
them
out,
yeah, that's true.
4 years ago, 6 years ago.
Well, that's a job right there. If he goes, that's the most attractive job. So maybe that's the one that Brian Day jumps to.
Maybe.
You know.
Yep. We'll see. All
But
right. So
here's one.
Okay.
Ohio, Kevin Stefanski. Should he stay or should he go?
Who's Ohio?
Kevin Stefanski, the Browns.
Oh, the Browns. Oh,
Stay in Ohio, yeah.
I think he needs to go.
I'd agree, yeah.
I mean, because here's the thing. It's not
Honestly,
working.
in that organization, anybody that has their name next to Deshaun Watson should go.
Yeah.
That was just, yeah.
And yeah, and I think Stefanski is a good coach. I really do.
Yeah.
But I think the Haslams just ruined that organ. I mean, because he was actually with they were starting.
Oh yeah, they were up. Yeah.
You know, going on and they bring in Deshaun to take him to the next level, and
yeah,
no can do. So, and I think he was forced to play Deshaun.
I think so too. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're paying him $240 million guaranteed dollars. He's playing. He's not riding the bench, but he's been riding the bench because he can't stay healthy anymore. All right. One last championship game, the MAC championship. You know, since we do have Miami in it again, but
against Ohio, right?
Against Ohio, they've done away with the divisions in the MAC.
Yeah.
So Ohio's playing well. Miami's playing well. Miami beat Ohio the last time this year. So I got to go with the Red Hawks. It's going to be close. It's going to be real close.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Red Hawks also. Go with Miami. Although, for some reason, I've watched like 4 Ohio games this year. They just always seem to be on Maction when I turn the TV on or whatever. Watched like 3 or 4 of their games. I like their quarterback. I think he can make a lot happen. So
He can.
We'll see.
So we'll see. All right. So next week's show, we're going to do our NCAA playoff bracket debate, football bracket debate. And then hopefully we can talk a little positive about the Bengals. And then we'll prep you for the cross-town shootout with Xavier UC. So until next week, thanks for staying with us for this long episode. Crawley will be back, and we'll come live at 7 p.m. again next Sunday. Until then, everybody take care.
See you.